Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Taryn Kingdom Acres Farm, coming at you from the front porch. Just chilling out for a few minutes out here. Pretty hot outside. We're not going to do any work, or at least I'm not going to do any work out today. It's like 90s or low to mid 90s. Very humid, humidity. Probably adding a few degrees to that, I'm sure. So yeah, just chilling. Matter of fact, after this video, I'm gonna go back in the house, get some AC. Thank the Lord for AC. Yeah, so I want to record this video to give you guys some feedback on our experience with one of the pests that's given us the most problem, and that is the Japanese beetle. You know, in the past, on our smaller scale farming, we had some issues with them, but you know, pretty basic. You know, take a couple of them off, and you're good, right? And so here we're dealing with tons of them. We planted fruit trees and quite a few berry plants, and came back out, you know, maybe a week or so later, especially when it started getting warm, and tons of Japanese beetles on our plants, chewing the leaves up. You know, our trees are already struggling with the heat and humidity, which are like breeding ground for fungus and all of that jazz. So and then on top of that, they got to deal with these beetles chewing the leaves up and laying waste on them. So yeah, it's a hot mess, and so lots of pressure. And then these trees are in their early stages of growth. They're trying to thrive. And so what we did was we just did the basic thing, right? Just go out and take the high beetles off. I mean, the Japanese beetles off, and that worked, right? Clean them off, put them in some soapy water. Um, but the next day or two we went out and it was like we never did anything. So we did it again. Took all the Japanese beetles off, um, put them in soapy water. Next couple of days, same thing. And so we're pulling off 75 to 100 easy. And this is a guess, but easy 75 to 100 hive. I keep saying hive beetles. Hive beetles are in the beehives. Japanese beetles a day, going in the morning, going in the evening, which have been the best times to pick them off, because if you don't have any experience with them, during the day they're active, and so as you approach they'll fly away. But early in the morning, you know, we've been doing it between 7 and 8 o'clock, and about the same in the evening. They're not as active. They're a bit dormant, and they're easy to take off. Matter of fact, they just lock up and kind of fall if you put the bowl under it, under the leaves. They kind of lock up when they see you, and they roll off basically, and they just roll right into the water. So really easy to get off, but you're having to go out there and do it every day. And so we want our trees to be successful. We want our berry plants to be successful. So we have to do the work to control that pest. So didn't want to keep going outside every day and doing it. And there's some days where we just couldn't go out to get them. And so we went ahead and bought some nets uh, to cover the trees up primarily. And that actually worked. Um, Maybe one or two got into one of the trees, but we just, you know, removed them out of that, and that was good. The only problem with the nets though is that they put pressure on the trees, and so the young shoots of the trees, you know, the branches that are trying to come out, they're so young and tender that the net doesn't allow them to grow. And so we have a couple where it tried to shoot out and then it bent, and it's like going all crooked now. And so I was like, well, we can't have that. And so I went ahead and we bought a couple of these, and my wife uh, had been asking if we should get them. This brand is by a company called Rescue, and it's a Japanese beetle trap. They say here, beetles find it fast. And I was like, nah, because reports um, from other people, you know, one of the warnings is like you could probably attract even more beetles, which even further it'll exacerbate the issue. And so we don't want more beetles. I mean, we got a couple hundred a day that we're pulling off. We don't want to double or triple that, right? And so I was like, no, I don't want to do that. When we put the nets on, though, it was like, okay, now we can try it, because we at least have the nets on, that if we do get more, it's not going to affect as much. So it was a good test ground to see if these traps work. So we bought two with some metal hooks, hooked them out in between our garden area and our neighboring a neighboring property where I believe they're more than likely coming from, and it worked in capturing hundreds of Japanese beetles within a couple of days. Right? Maybe it did attract some more here. I don't know, but in a couple of days, definitely got a couple hundred um, Japanese beetles, and we did see a reduction. And so I was pretty impressed that it did reduce the Japanese beetles that were on our plants. And so I was like, okay, since we got some success there, we're seeing a reduction in Japanese beetles. Let's go ahead and take the nets off, right? Give it a couple of days, test it out, and see what happens. Sure enough, Japanese beetles came back to the trees, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Fortunately, it wasn't as many though, and so I was like, okay, let's go back to the routine. Let's go out and pull some off each day. And what we noticed though was each day it decreased. Right now we're seeing maybe, I think my wife went out a couple of days ago to pull them off, maybe a dozen or so. Wasn't many at all. And these are across. This is across what, 27. I think we got 27 fruit trees out there. So pretty good. That's pretty good. And so this is a keeper for us, right? We're going to do this every year. The second thing we're going to do is put down some milky spore. And milky spore is, I don't know if it's a bacteria or some fungi or whatever, but it attacks the grubs in the ground, which ultimately turn into Japanese beetles. And so when you sprinkle that in your lawn, it gets watered in, that gets into the soil and starts affecting the grubs. And then the grubs don't survive, so they don't come out and turn into Japanese beetles. That will work only for the ones that are coming up from our property. Like I said, we got a neighboring property that's like right there where I believe they're coming from. Can't control that. And so we'll control on the ground on our property, and then we'll rely on those traps to capture the ones from our neighboring property. So I will say that, yes, this is a winner for us. These Japanese beetle traps, they worked for us. And it might be worth trying, yourself if you got a significant issue with Japanese beetles. I think that's it. Like I said, we'll keep trying them. I'll probably get a couple more to make sure that we're keeping the population under control. Because these, on this particular one, it has a little, I don't know what you call it, a cylinder with some beads in it that's scented, I guess, and that's what attracts them to come down. I have no idea why they can't get out of this thing, for real, because it's just wide open at the top. But I guess they smell it, they fall in, and they just be in there like, like that, like crawling all over each other. And if you, feel some kind of way about bugs, you might get grossed out. But for some reason, they just can't get out. I guess they can't work up, the wings to fly out. They just sit at the bottom and just pile up. I mean, we had them piled up to like right here. So, like I said, we have, a couple hundred of them, almost to this line actually. And the two that we have over there are filled up to about that much. Matter of fact, I probably should dump them today so it can be empty. But yeah, give these things a try. It's a couple of variations out there. Like I said, this one works for me. Um, and according to this, it's made in the USA. We finally got something made in the USA. So go USA. All right, y'all. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope this video helps. Give me some feedback. Give us some feedback on your use of these Japanese beetle traps, kind of your experience, and we can just pass the information along to anybody that's having the same issue. Y'all take care. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.